Okay, so is this thing about Canada being a 51st state a real thing? I've heard ups and downs. I've heard Trudeau say something. I heard, obviously, you hear Trump speaking. But is this a real thing? Can it happen? Like, what do you guys think?
Well, you never know when Trump says something if it's real or not.
Well, Justin Trudeau says it's a real thing. He means business. He said it in that hot mic incident or whatever it was recently, and that's what the
was that
media
intentional? That hot mic?
You're asking the correct questions, Adam.
I am.
Yes.
Sometimes I
do believe, just like you're saying, Trump is probably somewhat serious in the sense that he wants the power of the Canadian economy that we have not ever unleashed, I should say. The fact is, Canadians have not produced in the goods that they have, and I mean, we just recently seen steel and aluminum tariffs. The notion that he's doing this, we don't really know what the hell he's up to. Okay, like he's not communicating really well. Why
he communicates poorly, whether it's on purpose or not. It's very difficult to understand.
Regardless of that, he threatens with this notion that Canada should be the 51st state, and I kind of grasp the concepts. We are highly dependent on that country. If the U.S. was gone tomorrow, Canada would be a completely different nation. We would be a developing country that would suffer, right? Because we just do not have the goods and services and production that the U.S. is providing us, and the money that's coming in.
To some degree, though, we're allowing this, and we're choosing this.
Yes,
we're not choosing to try and stand on our own. And I think this is a moment in time where maybe we need to rethink that idea.
Yes, you're right, and that is the consensus that we're getting from the current Liberal Party, because you're right, Adam. They basically said this hot mic incident with Justin Trudeau because it's good news for the Liberals. It gets everything off of what they're saying, and it's getting them towards the leadership that is currently running the country. I think that's the reason that he said that. I don't know what your opinion is on it, but I would say the reason for this is to get people talking about the current Liberal leadership, get Mark Carney's ideas in there, because apparently he's the one.
The savior.
Get the current Liberal leader, Justin Trudeau, a little bit more oomph on his way out to say, like, I'm still dealing with this, I'm still in control, whatever. The thing I would suggest here is that, I guess, yes, Donald Trump would like to have Canada. Yeah, you know what? He says a lot of BS. He would like to have Canada as a state or something. I don't know how serious he is, but he most definitely wants us to be producing the oil, to produce everything that the Americans use, so that they have more economic development, and it can basically be energy independent completely, just between us and the US. I think that's ideally what he wants, and since our politicians aren't doing it, he's using the leverage that he has to say, yeah, we want to do these things, and maybe Canada would be better off. It's rallying Canadians together under one message to be a little bit more independent. Do you, Adam, think that that's a good thing or a bad thing? Because we saw Champlain, I believe it was, recently talking about how we need to develop pipelines across the country, and we need to do more electrical infrastructure and all that, right?
Yeah, suddenly these Liberals have come up with this ingenious idea that we should be...
Note the sarcasm.
We should be developing pipelines east-west. They're talking about transmission lines. Like, basically, what we need to do is we need to find a way to extract our resources and get them to our coasts.
Everything we've been saying, and some conservatives have been saying in the previous government.
Like, I feel like a broken record, but we need to learn how to sell what we have here in Canada to the rest of the world. We can't keep just sitting here selling it all to the US and letting them bully us around.
And you know what? I think, this is just a theory I have, but I think the Americans realize this, not just Donald Trump. They realize that if Canada actually gets a foot in the ass and starts developing it from their threats, and even if they threaten to sell it to China or to the UK or whoever, they realize that that's not going to be the reality. the reality will be Canada will eventually start developing and pulling out those resources like they want, and it's going to go the easiest route, which is down through the current pipelines and infrastructure we have to the Americans, and they're going to get it just like they want.
And they'll keep getting it at steep discounts. And then every once in a while, they'll come and kick us around a little bit just to show us who's boss.
Yeah, because I mean, we had to go through the tough work of having an actual leader that will negotiate with countries and get proper trade, and then we have to actually back that up.
Is that Mark Carney?
No, and it was not that Justin Trudeau who basically just ended the conversation when we said Germany wanted to buy gas from us. He said, "No, it's not possible.
LNG.
No business case," because he couldn't make it happen, and that's where we are at. I think in the long run, this conversation we're having is based around the 51st state thing. It's far too difficult for it to happen. It basically would require a collapse of the Canadian government in order for the population to want this to happen. It would be the most easiest way for it to happen, because we would have to basically vote it in and make it happen. It's not going to happen either that way, or it's going to happen with the Americans coming over with force
and take over.
And that's not going to happen either. It's going to happen with economic pressure, maybe. And basically, if I'm saying economic pressure is and resources is what the Americans really want, then that's what they're going to get, because at the end of the day, they're the easiest people to sell to. They're going to make us money, and that there's nothing we can do about it, because, well, I'm not gonna say there's nothing we can do about it, but the reality is at this time and with the current methods we've been using in Canada, there is nothing we can do. We need to develop. And Adam, turn on that broken record again and tell us why we need to develop.
We just need to get our act together. We need to stand on our own. We need to, we just need to learn how to trade with the rest of the world. We need to figure out what's important to defending our borders. And obviously they want us to take the Arctic seriously with what's going on up there. And right now we don't seem to take anything seriously. We won't build any sort of pipelines. We have all these little fantasy land reasons why we shouldn't develop any resources. We have ministers again that tell us we're not going to build roads anymore. Like we can't have any more of this. And I think it's time to get these liberals out, get a conservative government in here that's saying they're going to do these things, give them the chance to do it, and then we can judge them on that when the next election comes along and decide if they've done what they said they're going to do, and if we should continue giving them the opportunity, or should we boot their ass out and pick someone else, right? But if we just continue down this path we've been going down, with the current Liberal government, and if it's been Mark Carney who's been calling some of the shots behind the scenes, if we continue down this path, this will get worse for us. Our economy will not grow. Our provinces will continue to bicker with each other, and we'll have a federal government that's basically shutting down real growth and preventing us from building wealth, and it just will not be great to have this happen.